Hi, I'm Dave Atkinson, and welcome to Life on the Straight. If you've seen any of my other content on this channel, you know about my diagnosis with sarcoma cancer, along with the treatment that eventually led to the amputation of my entire left leg. This all happened in the 2018-2019 timeframe, and my wife Amy and I spent months residing in the SCCA house in downtown Seattle during my treatments. We had both worked in a downtown area for much of our careers with a phone company. Both of us began work in 1978, and I ended my career in early 1998 while Amy stuck it out until late 2000. For the most part, it was a pleasant experience for both of us. We could park several blocks away and not worry about our car being stolen, and we would both venture out during our lunch hours and walk several blocks away from the headquarters building we worked in with nary a problem. Sure, there would be a homeless person or even an aggressive panhandler every now and then, but overall it wasn't that big of a deal. Returning to Seattle in the spring of 2018 was a jolt to the senses. Just getting there was a shock, as what we were now observing was so different from when we had commuted from the Edmonds Ferry Terminal south to Seattle. Nearly every freeway on and off ramp had some form of homeless presence: tents, boxes, tarps, and mostly garbage. Hardly a concrete wall or freeway column or sign was free of graffiti. After we checked in at the SCCA house, we noted that a church shared the same block with our new cancer hotel, and they also functioned as a food bank. The entire neighborhood was chock full of street people, and often aggressive panhandlers. The street in front of the entrance to the SCCA house had numerous cars parked where people were living out of them. When we would go north to the SCCA clinic, we would leave the clinic via Eastlake Avenue, and the areas of undergrowth between Eastlake and the nearby freeway were full of homeless camps and garbage. For the times when we left to return home, we would enter the freeway from Mercer Street, and it was more of the same, if not worse. Plus, nearly every inch of concrete was covered with graffiti. During our stay, we had to venture out for groceries every so often. I would drive up to the Safeway on Capitol Hill and wait in a car while Amy went grocery shopping. The goings-on at and around that store were just mind-boggling. Customers just about had to step over homeless people getting into and out of the store. The city park across the street was one big homeless park. As I waited in the parking lot, cars would enter, and some young street person would walk on over for a talk, and then jump inside, and they would head off to a far corner of the lot. Use your imagination. Then in March of 2019, the local ABC affiliate KOMO TV 4 released the one-hour documentary Seattle is Dying. I watched that show more than once, and you can watch it on YouTube, and it aligned perfectly with what we both experienced during our time living in the downtown area. At the end of the show, the producers laid out a radical idea. Put the mothballed penitentiary at McNeil Island, which is across Puget Sound between Tacoma and Olympia, to productive use as a place to rehabilitate chronic substance abusers. And don't allow them to leave until they are clean from drugs and have demonstrated that they can remain so. When I heard about this possible solution, I was energized. Yet I didn't think that it went far enough. The documentary also focused on repeat criminal convicts that were just turned back to the streets to continue on with their crime sprees. Some of these people had 40, 50, even 70 plus convictions. What about them? What about punishing those who repeatedly chose to cover both public and private property with graffiti? And what about the mentally ill citizens with no means of support, especially those who violently lashed out at strangers as they walked the streets of Seattle? Our criminal justice system just kept letting them go. The combination of our own experience along with the documentary provided the inspiration for me to write the book, Secure Washington. Now, as a first-time author, and I'm not counting my unpublished travel book, The Yonder Years, it was a daunting experience working with an editor that was referred to me by a successful local author. He loved the concept of my story, but not so much the execution. I actually wrote the manuscript twice and was just about finished with the third attempt when he finally got back to me shooting down everything that I had sent him. I was about to throw in the towel. Then I had an idea come to me during sleep. I would tell the story from the viewpoint of a fictional author from the nearish future, and that's 15 years out. A new city, which I would call Secure, would be a quarantine city for the state's misfit citizens. It would be a hybrid city owned by the state, part prison and part normal. Secure would be approaching its 10th anniversary, so have my author interview all of the people who conceived of the idea, put it before the public for a vote, and later designed and built the city. Then have my fictional author reside in Secure for the week before it reached its anniversary, which fell on July 4th. Team him up with a volunteer who would show him around the city to see how it all worked. Finally, have him interview current residents as well as one who was able to rehabilitate herself and leave Secure. My editor loved that idea, and so the fourth time was the charm. I wrote the book and self-published it through BookBaby in 2024. On my YouTube channel, I don't plan on reading the entire book, but I'll read selective chapters that go deeper into the book than what you can sample on all of the bookstore sites that it is available on, such as Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, and BookBaby. I also have created 3 songs that tie into this book, and I'm releasing them one at a time into my Creative Projects playlist, beginning with The Way I Was Made. I hope you can take the time to read Secure Washington, and I also hope that you enjoy the music.